Kandinsky's New World, glinting in the sun. In 1923, Russian artist Wassily Kandinsky painted Composition VIII while in Germany. It is now in the Guggenheim Museum, New York. A soft yellow sky from a just-risen sun gives light to old buildings, a pyramid, and new, a taller, modern building, taking its form from the pyramids, but newer, sleeker, more purposeful. The sun glints off various hard surfaces in a newly constructed world. Our minds constantly seek to create meaning out of the shapes and lines. Kandinsky was more interested in the forms for their own sake than in creating recognisable objects, but our minds do it nonetheless. Here's an aerial on a pyramid, we might think, but in 1923 such a thing had never been seen. Rather, it's a signpost, painting to the next level of human construction. We are entitled to see this as the sun, and these other light-surrounded circles as reflections of the sun. Reflecting off what? Buildings, constructions, roads, arches, ordered items placed in three-dimensional space. Moving from left to right, we see a pyramid, its purpose hidden within, its passengers leading downwards. Then a modern building, and now a future construction, its purpose a part of its beauty, its passages exposed to the sun. Architecture is art. Very Bauhaus. We'll come to that in a moment. The leading lines of the painting take us from bottom left to upper right, a march of progress, a shining city growing upward, its roots in a constructed world of connections and arches. Intersecting it all, roads and thoroughfares, public squares and centres of power, emanating their control outwards. Repetitions and rhythms provide a steady beat, underscoring a march onwards and upwards. The transition has begun, the world is in a controlled flux and a new world is emerging. The colours are mostly subtle, but with primaries of red, yellow and blue, themselves providing anchor points out of which arise order. A work in progress, connections crossing each other, a city rising out of the ground, a new day. Straight, thin, ordered, repetitive lines which cross each other, creating out of the intersection new shapes, subtly differentiated by colour. For something so full of objects, the overall sense is strangely uncluttered, because we sense it is not merely a pile of objects, but an emerging order, every item necessary and purposeful. The items themselves are the purest of geometric forms: circles, rectangles, squares, triangles, arches, ordered curves and straight lines. Kandinsky said that form itself, even if completely abstract, has its own inner sound, by which he seems to be alluding to his ideas that colours and forms speak to us, having their own intrinsic existence. Very Pythagorean of him. Reading more like an architectural blueprint than a work of art, we sense a scale, detailed explanations, and connections being drawn between items. The suns could be reflections, but they could equally be the light entering the human spaces. 10 years earlier, in 1913, Kandinsky had painted Composition VII, the previous of his Composition series. Composition VII is organic, colourful, its strong emotions boiling over in bright reds and deep blues, a painting that can easily be described as mirroring the rising tensions in Europe prior to World War I. But now, in 1923, Composition VIII is subtle, thin-lined, architectural and quiet. Despite the odd collection of forms, it provides a sense of order, of things being placed in their proper places, of careful construction and orderly composition. I have interpreted the painting as construction, based on the historical context and my first reaction. Others, including possibly Kandinsky himself, but what would he know, see the painting as an expression of the strange spirituality that Kandinsky pursued. You might convince me of that for Composition VII, but not for Composition VIII. Well, not for me at least. As an artist, I recognise that even in fully representational art, our subconscious can create elements that evoke more than originally intended. In fact, this was one of the most unexpected outcomes I experienced putting paint to canvas. And when we come to abstract, non-representational art, there is more free rein for this to occur, beyond even what the artist initially intended. Kandinsky, with a few others, is considered to be a pioneer, if not the pioneer, of abstract impressionist art. During the time of this painting, Kandinsky had been a lecturer at the Bauhaus in Munich, and to my mind the Bauhaus vision of a synthesis of architecture, craft and art has heavily influenced him, and no doubt he influenced them back. As a work of non-representational abstract art, it is too easy to want to dismiss it as meaningless, when in fact its meaning may reach further in than we think. To put across the feelings and sense I got might be impossible to achieve in any other way. Painting, say, a representational view of a new glorious city of mankind would simply look to me like a Soviet-era propaganda poster, easily dismissed as having an agenda. Kandinsky's view is somehow purer, unencumbered by the political machinations of those in power. After the unimagined horrors of World War I, many were left seeking order and meaning. Kandinsky had moved from Russia to Germany, which was still in reconstruction. With the benefit of hindsight, we see this period as the interwar period, but to Kandinsky, the war to end all wars was over, and many were looking forward to a better life, even as Germany suffered economically under the crushing Versailles Treaty. Do you like it? Although that's often the first question we ask ourselves, it isn't always the most useful. How does it make you feel? That's a better question. For me, it's optimistic, a clean new world being created out of the ashes and rubble of World War I, an ordered intersection of items that, together, are in the process of creating this better world. Of course, Kandinsky couldn't know the future. By the time he painted this one, in 1943, during World War II, the world had become darker, and a collection of vaguely biological shapes, not fully whole, find themselves assembling haphazardly around a meaningless line. But Composition VIII feels different. Kandinsky said that every work of art is the child of its age, and in many cases the mother of our emotions. I am left uplifted by Composition VIII. To me, he's looking forward to a shining city on a hill, a place for the gathering of a new people, a bright and ordered place. His emotions and his time have taken him there. He knows what he wants for us all, and all he can do, all he can manage, is to describe it. It is enough. Now he is saying, it is up to us to make it so. You know, it's interesting to me that when I do a video that is related to abstract impressionist art, that I tend to use lots of bigger words. What does that mean? The thing with abstract art is people think maybe it's just a con. You know, maybe we're all being fooled. And yet, I got something out of it by looking at it and pondering it. And maybe that's all you can expect from art. I suppose it takes a certain chutzpah to look at a piece of art like that and say, well, to me, it means all this stuff. Look, if you want more, don't forget to subscribe, and you can like or dislike the video as you see fit. See you next time.